Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So tonight is looking better. Bitcoin and crypto is recovering slightly, but we have some drama. CZ of Binance questions whether or not Coinbase really has enough Bitcoin. What is their Bitcoin reserves looking like? And why is he asking this? Well, I'm going to put it all together. And also, I have more updates on the FTX saga and who may be buying their assets. And there's one person you would never guess, and one person you would guess. All right, let's get started. Welcome, guys. Hopefully you guys are doing good tonight. Let's start out with this whole thing between CZ and Coinbase now. Why is CZ asking the tough questions? Well, we know that Genesis Global, Genesis Trading, Genesis Lending, right? They have about a 1 billion hole they need to patch. And it's mostly because of Three Arrows Capital. Three Arrows Capital had taken a huge loan, which of course they're not paying back. So that put a huge dent on the balance sheet for Genesis, and they've been holding that for quite some time. But recently with the FTX collapse, made it harder for them to kind of carry that hold because a lot of people became fearful and started withdrawing, right? So now we're in a situation where, yeah, Genesis Global is really considering of going, into bankruptcy, okay? So there's that. However, the parent company of Genesis Global is none other than DCG. And DCG, well, they're huge, absolutely huge. And now it turns out that even DCG took a 575 loan from Genesis. Interesting how that works. The parent company that owns a smaller company takes a loan from a smaller company. I don't know. Maybe that's common, but it just seems like, again, it's from one pocket to another, right? It just seems like that shouldn't be done. But DCG says, no, don't worry. Don't worry. Even though we took out this $575 million loan, we got more than enough to cover. And I did cover this last night going through some of their assets. They have more than enough assets to really pay this loan off. And if Genesis goes under, can they cover them as well? It seems like they can, as long as they sell off some of their assets. Okay, so that leads us to this Coinbase situation, because DCG is also the parent company of Grayscale, which of course issues the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust and others, Ethereum Trust and ETC Trust, Litecoin Trust. I mean, they have a lot of trusts. So people have been hounding Grayscale to come out with the proof of reserves because they're afraid this all goes spread. And then eventually maybe DCG needs to sell some of the assets from Grayscale. So Grayscale said, no, we're not going to release proof of reserves for security reasons. But rest assured that Coinbase has all of our assets. Everything is accounted for. It's audited by Coinbase. We're highly regulated in the U.S. You don't have to worry about a thing. Okay? So basically it's like, trust us, trust Coinbase, right? Which doesn't sit well for many, many people out there. And that is why CZ chimed in. He caused some FUD today, okay? Well, I mean, right now it's kind of like the time to do so. Depends on how you look at it. But CZ tweeted this earlier, and then he deleted it, and here's why. So he tweeted this out. So Coinbase custody holds 635,000 Bitcoin for Grayscale. But 4 months ago, Coinbase only had 600,000 Bitcoin. Just stating news reports, not making any claims. Glassnode probably has more up-to-date data. So obviously CZ has been looking at all the stuff saying, Coinbase only records that they have 600,000 Bitcoin, but Grayscale alone has 635. So the math doesn't add up. So he's just asking the hard questions, okay? And Daryl, thank you, big super chat. So that is what led to some fear this afternoon, and that is why Brian Armstrong actually reached out to CZ himself. They had a conversation, but in the meantime, Brian Armstrong also tweeted out that no, we don't have 600,000 Bitcoin. We have 2 million Bitcoin, not 600,000. We have 2 million, right? As of 9:30, it was about 40 billion worth, a little bit under than that, right? So basically he's saying, you know what, we're a public trade company. We have to disclose this. This is how much we have. So don't worry about it. And then CZ backtracks because they had a conversation. And CZ says, well, Brian Armstrong just told me the numbers and articles are wrong. Deleted a previous tweet. Let's work together to improve transparency in the industry. So was this CZ's plan to basically kind of force Coinbase maybe into doing a proof of reserves? Or maybe he just wanted to know how much Bitcoin they had. I don't know. You tell me if you guys think CZ was just spreading FUD for his sake of spreading FUD, or he's asking the right questions or the tough questions and just making sure that things are okay and things aren't being covered up, right? So you can look at it either way. But it seems like for now, the FUD has stopped and CZ is satisfied, right? But I think a lot of people would still prefer to see some kind of proof of reserve kind of thing come out of Grayscale or Coinbase to kind of showcase exactly how much they're holding, right? But they're publicly traded companies. So it may be difficult for them to do that because some of this is, somewhat confidential, right? So we'll see. We'll see if that happens in the near future. Okay. So I wanted to lead off with that. We had a little drama today, right? But despite the drama, we still have a lot of people that are taking opportunity, taking advantage of the situation. In fact, Coinbase surveyed a whole bunch of people, and 62% of the people they surveyed have increased their allocation over the last 12 months. And that's not a surprise. I've been showing you guys. The address is going up. Holders are going up. Percentage of Bitcoin being held is going up. I mean, there's a lot of things going up. Even institutions, the whale addresses are going up, right? So there are a lot of people definitely that are still clinging on, holding on, not being deterred by this FTX drama, right? And that is what we want. That is fantastic, okay? Now, let's get back to some drama, some more drama. Of course, there's more situation, there are more things that develop from the FTX thing. Today's the very first day of their bankruptcy hearing, okay? This is pretty fast. I remember when Celsius and Voyager, they declared bankruptcy. It took forever before their court date. FTX has been expedited. I mean, this is going real fast. This is the first day of their hearing, right? But there's some few things that's coming out that's quite damning. Just this morning, I covered a story about how SBF bought about $121 million worth of residence in the Bahamas for himself, for the top executives, for his parents, right? That is actually a very low number. So according to this, it wasn't $121 million. He bought $300 million of real estate in the Bahamas. $300 million. Tell me where he got that money from. That's so much, right? And not only that, they looked at these 4 silos that make up FTX. You have one that controls the US, you have Alameda, okay? Then you have a venture one, and then you have the .com one, which is more the FTX.com, right? It seems like right before they entered bankruptcy, they were transferring everything to Alameda. So there's something there to that. And they still don't quite know this connection with the Bahamas and why they decided to take some of the funds away, and they don't know what's being done with the funds because this is bankruptcy here in the US, right? So there's still questioning what the regulators are doing with that crypto. So it's unknown at this point. So there's still a lot that's being digested right now. But as of right now, there's still 260 employees remaining at FTX. That's still a lot. But here's the funny thing. They still do not have a full accounting of its finances or employees. Finances, I could see because it may be, a lot of things hidden. But they don't even know all the employees that they still employ. That's how bad the bookkeeping and accounting is. So they're just guessing there's about 260 employees. They don't even know that for sure. There's no like computer software or spreadsheet that actually says who's actually still working for FTX. That's how messy it is at FTX. So think about that. They don't even know how many employees are still employed. I guess they could just look at the payroll, right? They could see who they're paying. But still, that's just pretty bad. That's really bad. But anyways, SBF also sent a letter to FTX employees. I don't know how because he has no more email access. Basically, a sob story about what happened and it sucks. He's very sorry. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on. And, you know, he was trying to kind of explain also the situation with the assets. Yeah, you know how he said there was more assets than liabilities? The problem is a lot of the assets was just FTT token. So even though he had a ton of liabilities, he always considered he had more assets than liability mostly because of FTT. And there's been rumors about creating fake FTT or, you know, increasing the supply, right? And some of the assets he's counting up as credit too. So that doesn't even make sense. So eventually, basically, when FTT crashed, there was just not enough to cover the liability. I mean, it's just simple as that, right? But he basically kept using FTT as a count for assets when in reality, he should not have counted any of that and counted just what they held on from customers. But he didn't. He just counted the customers plus FTT. And if FTT is going up, he's like, okay, it's all fine. But that's not what you're supposed to do, right? So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go through his whole letter, but it's just, you know, again, him apologizing, saying he's going to do whatever it takes to get it right. But it's a little too late for that. It's not even his company. He has no association with the company whatsoever. And he has bigger problems to worry about. Once he gets extradited, you know, there could be some serious court time for him in the future. But here's the thing. Who is going to buy FTX assets? You may be wondering, right? It's not Binance, right? So who's left? Well, two people are left in the running. Justin Sun of Tron and Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. Both Ripple and Tron somehow wants to take up FTX assets. I could see how Justin Sun wants to do so, but that would be very, very bad. Justin Sun has his own problems, I believe, that will be coming in the future. I'm just going to leave it at that, okay? But Ripple CEO Brad, I don't know why Ripple wants to. Some people will speculate maybe he's going to try to come out of DEX or some kind of centralized exchange or something like that. So he needs the assets, right? I don't know, but it just seems kind of weird that he would want it. But out of the two, I definitely prefer Brad to buy it rather than Justin. That's 100% certain. But we'll see. We'll see who ends up winning, or maybe CZ comes in at last minute and just buys it all up. I don't know. I don't know at this point. All right, lastly, just a few altcoin news, and Bitcoin is still going up. Well, that's looking good for, 16.5. That's right before, we're close to the point before when we just dropped, over the weekend for no reason. But this is strange. The WEF has invited SHIB Inu to work with them. I don't know. I think almost everyone in the crypto space thinks this is a bad idea. No one really trusts the WEF. Yeah, they decided to. Well, they have been invited at least, right? I think this would be a very bad idea if somehow the team or whoever is leading SHIB decides and talks to them and works with them. I think that would be a bad idea. I don't even know why they're asking SHIB. Why don't they ask Dogecoin or ask anyone else? Ask Charlie Lee or someone, right? I don't know what's going on here, but I don't think it's gonna be good either way. So there's that, and then there's this. Someone paid 600% interest to short Curve, okay, and then they got liquidated badly, okay. So I can't be sorry for this guy. I was going to say don't play with leverage, But this guy decided to short Curve because he thought that Curve was going to tank after, releasing some details about his stablecoin, and then boom, one thing led to another. There was a massive rise in Curve price, and then it just liquidated this guy. So, yeah, I can't say I'm sorry, but, when you play with leverage, this is what happens. A lot of people, they win until they lose, and unfortunately that loss leads to a catastrophic loss. So there's that. All right, that's pretty much it. We got a lot going on. Bitcoin coming back up to 16.5. That's pretty positive. Entire crypto market cap is up slightly today. Right, obviously we're still down majorly from the past 2 days, past weekend, past week, whatever. But you know what? We will get through this. I told you guys, we will get through this. Stay strong, right? We will get through this together. All right, let's do some Q&A. It's all relative. Same as me dropping $100 at a 7-Eleven Vegas. I don't think it's like that at all, man. Even if you were a billionaire, you don't want to be losing $50 million due to a liquidation. That's just too large of a sum to be ignoring. FTX was regulated by SEC. How did those shenanigans happening? I don't know, but you know what? FTX was not in the U.S., but FTX.US was, right? And all the stuff that was happening behind the scenes, Gary should have been looking at. I don't know. It's a tough call, right? Because if you're making that determination like, oh, Gary should be highly scrutinizing the exchanges, right? That could bring on things that we don't want also. So, I mean, it's kind of a hard situation to analyze. But many people are blaming Gary because of his close ties with Caroline and SBF. There's definitely something going on there, right? So Gary may be investigated soon. Or maybe he won't be because he'll be protected, but maybe. I own a room in Atlantis. I stayed there before. Very, very, very nice hotel, but extremely expensive when it comes to food. Ridiculously expensive. So, yeah. Oh, well. People asking about the WEF invitation. I don't know why they're inviting SHIB. And some SHIB fans seem to think that's a good thing. I don't think anyone wants a crypto project to be working with the WEF. I don't know. That just seems wrong. And I don't know why they were invited. All right. Okay, I'm still trying to catch up here. What's Curve? Curve is a DEX mostly for stable coins, and they're coming out with their own stable coin. Do you think Sol has a chance to recover? I still think it has a chance to recover. It may be slower. I think the strong momentum is probably gone because SBF was a strong backer of Sol. But it's unfortunate they got caught up in it. I think they will recover, but it may take longer than some of the others. Can Harmony ever be trusted again? I mean, they made some mistakes, right? You hope that they can. I interviewed Steven Tsai before, and he seems like he's a smart guy. They're based in Silicon Valley, but they let that hack happen, and there's no really recourse. No way to kind of get that $100 million back. And they lost their biggest DeFi project. DeFi Kingdoms moved away because DeFi Kingdoms was not happy about how they were treated. So those are two very big negatives for sure. Can CZ depeg USDT? Would that affect KuCoin? Oh, yeah. USDT Tether used to have, and they may still have it somewhere, but it's not easily found anymore. They used to have a Tether reserve thing showing how much the exchanges held, and every exchange had tens of billions of USDT on there. So if USDT went down, it crashed, it depegged, it would affect every major centralized exchange out there, including KuCoin, for sure. Two negatives makes a positive. I guess so, sometimes. I have no idea. Tactics, I have no idea about COSPA. I know you've asked it before. I have no idea. Is Charlie secretly buying Litecoin? Is that why Lightning's pumping this week? No, I think it's pumping because someone mentioned that Michael Saylor likes Litecoin. I think, I'm just speculating. I didn't hear it, but someone said it. I don't know if it's true, but I think that may be the reason why. So I'm not sure if you know Clear Value Tax. No, I don't. He has a compelling video for how CZ could be aiming to crash Tether for BSUSD. Well, it wouldn't be far-fetched because, recently CZ basically said that he's converting all stablecoins to BUSD, right? Even though you could cash out in Tether, but all trading pairs are basically being converted to BUSD. So he's trying to be less reliant on USDT, right? So there's probably a reason for that because he doesn't trust it just like anyone else in the industry. Anyone that's been in the industry long enough know that you can't really fully trust USDT or iFinix or Bitfinex for that matter. So I don't know if he's planning on doing that. I think if Tether went down, it would be absolutely... Tether going down is equivalent of Binance going down. And they're both like a planet killer kind of nuke being launched. I don't know if that's a good way to put it, but they would both nuke the industry for entire cycle, basically. Like, it would be disastrous. That's my opinion of that. Have you heard of Dash to Trade? Never ever heard of that project. Yeah, I was a Litecoin miner. That's how I got into this space. Back in 2013, 2014, I was mining Litecoin. I was thinking about getting a warehouse back in the day to just mine Litecoin because it was so profitable until it wasn't. Until I rode Litecoin down from 40 down to like $4, and I called it quits. And then it went down to $1 something, and it held there for years before coming back up. But yeah, that's how I got into this space. After this bear cycle, I'll consider you family. DZIs. I appreciate that. What's the best place to store Cadena? Well, they have a couple, and that's shoot, I'm drawing a blank on that one project that has a couple wallets for them. CADX, that's what it is. CADX, I think it's CADX, has a few wallets that allows you to store Cadena. They're not widely adopted by other major wallet makers, not yet. So you have to, CADX is the one that has a mobile wallet and a browser wallet. So, or you could use Cadena's own native wallet too. Let's bring up this tweet right here. Tommy says I'm buying BTC and ETH for long hodl. Right now it's mostly in Coinbase Robinhood. I started using cold storage. Thoughts on Robinhood safety? Robinhood has some FTX ties. Keep that in mind, okay? There's 9% or 7% is owned by FTX. So there's some exposure there. A little bit, okay? But Robinhood still doesn't allow you to do self-custody yet. They will soon, but they're beta testing it right now. But Coinbase does have a self-custody if you use a Coinbase wallet, a separate app, but not Coinbase itself, right? Yeah, you know, right now it's better to be safe than sorry, okay? So I've been telling you guys, learn how to use a custodian wallet, your self-custodian wallet, like Trust Wallet, Coinbase Wallet, or get one of these bad boys right here. You know, Ledger, right? The S Plus, the X. You know, you have to pay a little money for this, but if you want the most secure, it has to be a cold hardware wallet. The second most secure would probably be a hot wallet, like Trust or Coinbase Wallet. But the least secure has to be the exchanges. It may not be hacked, but hacks happen. But you could certainly have your funds taken away from you due to bankruptcy or something like that, right? So check it out. And right now, Ledger does have a Black Friday sale. They're actually giving away free Bitcoin, a ton of it. So be a pretty good time to be buying one and learning about it. Ryan says there's a new Koala wallet. I never heard of that wallet. I thought everything was on Cadena or Cadex. Are you worried about deflation? No, not really. I think there's still too much money slushing around. Okay, that's the reason why inflation hasn't come down more, is because there's still a lot of people, a lot of money that's still spending. So I think inflation is going to slowly taper. I don't think we're going to have deflation. I think 2023, maybe not right away, second half of 2023, we're going to see things stabilize and get back to normal. That's how I see it. At least in the U.S., though. In other parts of the world, like Europe, all of 2023 is going to be bad, for sure. Someone says Koala is malware. Well, I never heard of it, so be careful with that wallet. I'm feeling strangely positive today. I feel like we survived the storm. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I'm not quite sure we're past the storm, but of course, having a little update today is better than not having one. We're not quite back up there yet, but once we start breaking up, if we could get back to 18, 19K, right, get above where we are right now, that would be very, very encouraging. Let's see if it can happen by the end of the week. But we still do have this scare with Genesis, with DCG. We got to get over that. Will she flip? Kevin, are you trolling here? No, it won't. When is the next time Powell announced rates? Mid-December. So we got about a month left. SHIB Army is still heavily in favor of the WEF. That's what I don't get. Even people in this live stream is like, yay, SHIB is going to work with the WEF. Do you really want that? The WEF, you know, they're like the World Bank and the IMF, right? They are like the people that crypto are trying to get away from. The ones that are putting people in chains and not allowing them, people and countries, not allowing them to attain financial freedom. And WEF, I feel like is right up there. So I don't know if this is a good thing, but somehow SHIB guys are cherishing this. Yeah, WEF was actually working with FTX also. There's rumors about their whole thing, their whole ties. So I don't know if that has something to do with it too. I don't know. I just don't see that's a positive thing. That's not a net positive thing. George Soros died in a country he was not allowed in? Are you serious? Did he really die? I know he was old. What's your take on an Engrave wallet? I don't know about it other than Binance decided to invest in them. But if it's $400 for a hardware wallet, I would say no. It's not worth it. A ledger for $79 will do everything that you want. The main thing is the recovery phrase. It has nothing to do with how secure the hardware is. It's the recovery phrase. So as long as you have that, you're good. So all the fancy ones are probably some kind of like NFC or biometrics or something like that. But ultimately, their weakness is just the recovery phrase. So I'm not sure. If it's really 400, I don't think it's worth it. Would you change your portfolio percentage? Johnny, welcome. I haven't seen you in a long time. No, I think right now it's good. You know, 50% in Bitcoin, 25% in big caps. That's 75% of your portfolio in higher strength, less volatility kind of crypto. And I say that relatively because I know when I say low volatility, you guys might be thinking, well, what are you talking about? These are down like 70, 80, 90%. Right, it's true. But compared to the small caps and micro caps, their volatility is insane, through the roof, right? But, you know, having some isn't bad because when things come back up, they could grow tremendously. So I still think the 50, 25, 25 works. I think in addition to that, though, what's most important is to have about 25, 30, 35% in cash. That's kind of like separate. I think that is more important than anything. So that gives you the ability to dollar cost average, to buy the dips. And if you get low, right, that's a good indicator that you may want to take profit. So when things start going up and you see your cash pile start shrinking, you know, it's a good indicator of taking profits and replenishing that cash pile. Joe Lamas, I DCA too early this week. I missed a big dip. Would you have dug your cash into on the side and DCA again at $15.55? You mean $15,555? Yes. But again, you know, just because you see something like that doesn't mean that you have to go all in, because you never know. I even said it. Even at that point, it was Sunday night, it was like 15.7. If if Grayscale is forced to sell Bitcoin because Genesis pulls them under, you know, we'll probably go down more, right? You just don't know. But that's why you DCA. You spread out your buys, you cost average. You don't have to try to guess and say, well, that has to be the bottom and go all in, right? So you want to still take the guessing out if you can. If you can. Noah says, my wife became a whole coiner today. We now have a full BDC for both of our daughters. Thanks for keeping them motivated. Thank you for a big super chat, and that is awesome. Having a BDC for each of your daughters, right, and your wife, and I know you probably do. So that's a whole family of whole coiners. That's fantastic. That's a lot, and very hard to achieve. Extremely hard to achieve. Imagine, though, it'll be worth it for sure. If Bitcoin one day goes to $1 million each, that's $4 million at least. Does DeFi Wallet by Crypto.com safe? I don't know what DeFi Wallet Crypto.com has. They have their app, but I don't know if they have their own self-custody wallet. Never heard of it. Just moved to the East Coast now. Must be freezing. I'm an hour ahead. Hope the house and family is doing well. Well, the house, I had a situation with the house. It's still building, but I had a close encounter with someone that was very uncomfortable. But I'm glad you settled down. Alpi or LP. Okay. Still, I would not pay $400 for it. Be patient. More dips to come. We'll probably hit 13K. Fed is hawkish. No, I don't think Fed is hawkish. Now, if you say World War III is happening, well, that's very, very bearish, but I don't know if we're quite there yet. And I don't think the Fed is hawkish. Not after our latest inflation report. I think the next meeting in December could be very positive, where they start turning dovish. Miss Rise Up, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm actually really missing creating the videos. Like every day, I was consistent after my morning streams. I go to the house, record. After they're done, I go record. I really enjoyed it. And now I just feel empty. I still go look at it, but I don't record and I don't do anything with it. I feel empty. It was actually a really fun experience. But unfortunately, I feel it's best that I just have to stop. Maybe when it's done, I could kind of show some of the stuff on the inside. But for now, I think it's best I don't continue. Rima, as for BlockFi, unfortunately, they're weighing their options. They say they're still in a very good spot, plenty of assets, but they had big exposure with FTX. FTX was going to buy them. So we have to wait and see what happens. If they can make a deal with someone else to stay afloat, or they also have to go in bankruptcy. So you just have to wait at this point. Unfortunately, they were doing well until this FTX saga. So FTX made them a promise that they would go buy them for like $240 million. They gave them a huge line of credit, right? And FTX asked them to move their assets to FTX, which was the main reason why they did that. But I believe BlockFi did not send any assets over. I think that's the last thing they said. So that's a good thing. So they still hold on to their assets. Get guard dogs that barks to keep the craziest away. Well, the guy that visited me, again, I don't think he was crazy. I think he just overstepped, and I think he knew it, or maybe he still doesn't know to this day, and he didn't catch my other videos. I don't know, but the whole situation just kind of freaked me out. Made me very uncomfortable. So, yeah. Is DCG and Genesis the next drama? Paul asks or states. It could be, but still, DCG has plenty of assets. They have plenty of assets they could sell off. So they could more than they have more than enough to make up this $575 million loan or the $1 billion that Genesis has, right? And they could just let them go bankrupt too. Anyone else notice that all the crypto Twitter bots are smoking hot Asian chicks who work as fund managers in Singapore and part-time models? I have noticed that. Probably a good year to DCA. Yes. I could do a George Reacts video of my own encounter. I guess I could, but I already posted a video sharing my thoughts on my other channel. I'm not sure what to do with the channel anymore. You have a civic duty to the 99% viewers to show us how a house is built. No, I don't, man. No, I don't. If it was any other house, sure, but you know, when you have fans just walk in, like, you know, like they're so comfortable with you that they feel like they could just walk into your house and say hi, you know, that's not okay, and that's scary. So no, I took precautions to kind of make sure people don't know where it is, but people still figure it out. People have a lot of time on their hands, and they start studying the videos to study the backgrounds and study all these things to try to guess where it is. You know, I don't want to deal with that. I don't. As much as I enjoy making the videos, I don't want like these guys to like analyze everything I record and try to figure it out. It's not worth it. Thoughts on your finance? Well, now that Andre Crony is back, you know, there could be bigger stuff for it. But they suffered a lot of hacks in 2020, 2021, so I didn't like that. All right, guys. So to conclude, the CZ caused some FUD, yeah, but it seems like he was just asking the tough questions, right? But Brian Armstrong answered them, and it seems like all is well. At least Coinbase has enough at least Coinbase is holding enough Bitcoin to basically prove that Grayscale does have all their assets. But, you know, I think people are still scared over this Genesis lending. We have to keep our eye on it to see where it leads to and whether or not it has any other contagion that spreads from there, right? But you know what? Tonight's a good night. We'll see if this continues. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, pre-Thanksgiving, 8:30 p.m., 8:15 a.m. Central Standard Time, all right? So smash it a like, subscribe to the channel. See you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.